Okay, hello everybody and welcome. I'm Tim Riches and I'm thrilled to have you as part of the latest instalment of our Navigator webinar series. Today, as always, we're focusing on something which is incredibly important, which is the power of digital credentials. And whether you're an educator, an employer or a lifelong learner, this session and all of these sessions aim to offer you practical tips, tools and insights that you can immediately apply to achieve better learning outcomes and make a meaningful impact on your organisation as well. In recent months, we've had a variety of fantastic stakeholders from local governments, the Lightcast team, schools and colleges, all sharing how they've successfully leveraged digital credentials through Navigator. But today is really special. We're joined by Jane Roberts, who is the co-head of OpenLearn at the Open University. And here's the really sort of exciting part of today. We're announcing a new integration between Navigator and the OU's badged open courses. So the aim for today is we want you to come away with a really good practical understanding of how the integration works. Jane is going to be showing lots of information on the OU courses, which is going to be really interesting, no doubt. And we're going to give you some insights into what we think the benefits this integration will bring to individuals and educators and employers, and to cities as well and regions. We'll give you some guidance on how you can get involved in the timescale and the timeline, for this integration. Just a couple of housekeeping points. We're recording today's session. For those of you who couldn't join us live, the recording is going to be shared afterwards. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll also have some time at the end for Q&A. And also this is a badged event, so you will receive a Pathways Informed badge, which you can keep for your CPD records. And the badge will also contain a link as well, and that link will give you a link to the recording. So we're using badges as kind of CPD bookmarks, so you'll get the credential and then you'll be able to see the link to the video. And please do share that badge afterwards with other people as well. So just a quick reminder of Navigator before we dive in. Navigator is a platform that recognises skills and aims to connect people with opportunities. But beyond the clever technology, and there's quite a lot going on underneath the surface, there's an AI badge creator with Lightcast functionality for creating pathways to live jobs feeds and a map feature to visualise learning and opportunities around you physically. But underneath that is a driving question for us. We're a purpose-led organisation, and we're always asking this question: how can we create a world where people can share all of their skills and leverage them to find pathways to meaningful learning and work? And this question really encapsulates the mission that we're aiming to solve, and we want to make every form of learning visible and connecting people to work that aligns closely with their skills and passions. And I'm sure we'd agree that even if someone doesn't have formal education, formal qualification, it doesn't mean they lack skills. So life in itself is kind of like a learning journey. And no matter what route you take, we're constantly acquiring skills, and we're really committed to ensuring that these skills don't go unrecognised, particularly for those who don't have formal qualifications. So this is not just about creating fair access, but it's also about making a real impact on people's day-to-day lives. Our team at Navigator built the first open badges platform in the UK. We're a founding partner of the Cities of Learning project, which was incubated at the RSA. And we currently host 7 cities as part of their Cities of Learning programs on Navigator. And we support a growing number of community and education providers. And that leads us naturally on to today's partnership with the Open University, which for us is a real pivotal milestone. Because we're striving to make all kinds of learning visible and valuable, and collaborating with a partner like the OU is a real crucial part of fulfilling our mission. So I want to turn the spotlight to you now, Jane. She's a real authority on digital credentialing. I want you to meet Jane Roberts. She's the co-head of OpenLearn at the Open University. She's got a really impressive background with key roles at both the OU and the BBC. I know she was, I think she's the first person actually to lead and be really instrumental in developing the OU's badged open courses. So given that the Open University was among the first pioneers in adopting open badges, I know we're all eager to hear from Jane, but just before we do, I'd like to ask you a question, Jane. before you take us through the presentation. And that was just, what was the driving force behind the integration with Navigatr, and how does that really align with your mission at the OU?
Well, first thing I want to say is that the initial driving force behind badges at the OU was my job share partner, Katrina Law. So she's most definitely the real expert in this. But I'm very happy to join you, because obviously I've worked with Katrina and our badges for quite a few years now. So I would say since the OU originally launched in 1969, its social mission is at the heart of everything it's done. Part of its social mission says it's open to people, methods, places and ideas, which is all about making sure you get. Sorry, I don't know how to turn the chats off. I'm trying not to look at them. Yeah, so basically the OU is all about getting learning to people who have maybe missed their chance of learning at previous points in their lives. The Open University itself is, there are no barriers. Anybody can sign up and do study, and the same is true of our free content on OpenLearn. Not everybody can afford to go to university and pay for formal study, so OpenLearn allows people to access free learning, whether it might be for the love of learning, whether they want to upskill, whether they want to enhance their employability skills, then coming to us, doing some of our badge courses, which they can then go off and share with their employers, is a really fabulous thing to be able to let people do. And obviously badges are all shareable, and our collaboration with Navigatr now hopefully is going to make things easier to share with, particularly with employers or potential employers via platforms like LinkedIn. We think that the work that Navigatr is doing aligns very much with the OU social mission, and obviously we have quite a big number of people that come to our platform. But this is really good because we see it being able to kind of address people's needs in the places where they live and the skills that are needed for that area, which is really, sounds like a piece of magic, really, doesn't it? And basically everything about the project aligns with the whole purpose of open badges, you know, in terms of making them portable, discoverable. So hopefully that gives you a bit of summary.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Joan. It's really good to hear how those missions align, and we'll talk a little bit more later after your presentation about how the integration came about to begin with. So I think actually people will be really keen to find out about a bit more about the badged open courses, and maybe I could hand over to you now, and you could just take us through and just give us a bit more background, and then I'll pick up afterwards, and I'll take you through the integration and how it works and how you can get involved.
Okie dokie. So I've only got a couple of slides really, just with a bit of information about OpenLearn itself and a bit about our badging. And at any point, please, Tim, if you want to sort of drop in and ask me about anything, then please do. So the first slide I'm sharing with you here is a sort of hot off the press slide, which summarises our OpenLearn data for the academic year 22 to 23. So from August 22 to July 23. So the data is pulled together in the last sort of month or so. And it just gives you a really brief overview of what it is that OpenLearn you know, what OpenLearn is. So it's a very big platform, as you can see. For 22-23, we had 9 million visits to OpenLearn. 400,000 of those were from our Open University students who also use the platform for their study skills and employability. And just a little bit of a background really. So 51% of the audience is UK based. That's kind of flipped backwards and forwards. Pre-pandemic, we were looking at about 60% UK, 40% rest of the world. That flipped around during the pandemic. So we were 60% rest of the world, and it seems to be creeping back to UK base, which is really interesting to see. We have around or at any one time around 1,000 free courses, depending on where we are in our production cycle, because every year we review what we've got and we take some courses down and we put new ones up. So it's sort of just under 1,000. But also we have about 10,000 other items, topical articles, articles and landing pages that support some of our collaborations, interactive activities and videos. And then last year we had 890,000 course enrolments on OpenLearn and awarded 44,000 digital badges. And I've said 9 million visits to OpenLearn, but actually overall we've got 13 million visits, because we have visitors to our syndicated content on YouTube, and also we have Kindle ebook versions of our courses. And then this is another little slide that gives you a bit of data about OpenLearn and our courses. So at the moment we've got 84 badged courses on OpenLearn. There's a distinction for us between badged courses and badged open courses. So a BOC for us, a badged open course, is something that is a very distinct sort of package of material. It's usually 24 hours, and we keep that consistency for lots of reasons, because we use that not just for our free learners, but we use them in OU studies for people to be able to use these courses as part of their module study, and so we like to keep that consistency. I think we've got I think there's 81 actual BOCs, but there are a number of other courses on there which are not 24 hours, but they are still badged. All of our courses on OpenLearn are mapped to and are tagged to the OU's employability framework. So we add skills tags so that it makes them more findable for people that are looking for specific skills for their job seeking or whatever else is they're looking for. All of the courses are designed to build confidence as the course progresses. So it kind of starts quite gently and it's split down into nice digestible chunks of material. Nothing is too arduous, certainly not dumbed down, but it's sort of presented in a way that helps people to kind of build their confidence. Courses, whichever course you go onto on OpenLearn, they're all perpetually open, available 24/7. And when we talk about, so our badge courses are 24 hours, normally they're 8 weeks at 3 hours a week, but actually how you study them is entirely up to you. It's completely self-paced. So if you find yourself with a weekend available and you want to just knock it all out in that weekend, you can do the whole thing. If on the other hand, you've got very little time available and you want to chip away, you can spend 6 months doing it. Nobody's looking and nobody is worrying about that. It's entirely in your hands. There's a note here about CPDSO. So that's the CPD Standards Office. We have relationships we've had relationships with the CPDSO for a few years. Every time we finish one of our badge courses, we send it to them to review and to assess. They haven't said no to any of them yet, because we have a fairly consistent approach, and so they're quite happy with the way they're put together and the way, the academic integrity behind them. And so as of recently, we used to say CPDSO endorsed because we needed to submit extra evidence for people to say accredited. We've recently agreed with the CPD Standards Office that with our digital badge and the free statement of participation that comes with all of our BOCs, that now says it's accredited learning. So if you do 24-hour study with one of our badged open courses, then you get 24 CPDSO points. Just as an aside, we find actually OpenLearn is there for the social mission. It's entirely to support our social mission, but actually because it's designed in a way that builds confidence for people that maybe haven't had opportunities in the past, we find that there are a lot of people that do the courses and they really do build their confidence and develop it to the extent that they are very keen to then go on to find out about studying at OU. And amongst our sort of near 1,000 courses, we find that our badge courses are the most effective at kind of that pathway from the informal to the formal journey. And just as an aside, I said we issued 44,000 digital badges last year. As of earlier this year, we actually reached 250,000 digital badges issued on the platform. So that was a pretty big achievement for us. I think that's probably everything for that slide. Have we moved on? Sorry, I can't see. Apologies if you have. Yes, you have. You, sorry. Trying to make you bigger, Tim, because I'm not seeing anything. Right, I can see what we're doing now. I've got so many windows open, I'm just confusing myself. Let's go forward then. So I've lost you again. Bear with.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Technical is not my highlight here. So yes, so why do we do digital badges on OpenLearn? Well, there's three big reasons really, and they really address the needs of our biggest audiences. So one is the informal learners that we talked about, the people that will come to us. They want to be able to study for free, and we know from past OpenLearn surveys that our informal learners, they really want to receive, you know, they've still worked hard to do what they're doing on the platform. They've worked at the same level as kind of introductory level university study, and they want to have the recognition that they OU branded recognition for those studies. And so all of our badges have the OU logo on them. We had to work quite hard to make sure that was achievable. There's a whole lot of rigorous QA goes behind all of our badge courses, because we wouldn't be able to put the OU badge on it otherwise. And in the main, they are, other than some exceptional circumstances, perhaps with employability, they're written by our OU academics. We also want to give our own prospective students the skills that they might need, either to prepare for their undergraduate study or as a means of them developing and displaying their skills that are relevant to their own career progression. So one of the big pieces of work we had to do a few years ago was a massive IT undertaking. Anybody that has anything to do with IT knows getting one system to talk to another system can be horribly complicated and scarily expensive sometimes. And we had a really big project that Patrina led on, which was to get OpenLearn, the back end of OpenLearn, to talk to the student transcripts on the OU's main system. Sounded quite easy, but actually it was a lot of work and quite expensive. But it was really important to us because it meant that those badges, we're talking about them being portable and transferable, and you know, if they're not even transferable between two OU systems, that would have been a bit disastrous. So for us now, we have the infrastructure. So if somebody is on OpenLearn and they one of our students earns an OpenLearn badge, that badge is then reflected on their student transcript. And that's really quite important for us for a number of reasons. First of all, for the student themselves, it's all in one place and they can see all their achievements and they can share their achievements as they work through. They haven't got to wait till they get to the end of their studies to be able to share some of these achievements. But also some of the content that we've got. So for instance, we've got a badge course called All My Own Work. It's not a BOC, it's a shorter one, but it's all about academic integrity and being able to avoid plagiarism. So it's really important for us to have that content there so that our students have that accessible. It's completely open, anybody can access it, but for our students, it's about helping support them through their studies. And if they've completed that course, then that shows on their transcript and their tutor can see very clearly that they've done that badge. There should be no excuse then to infringe any borderline plagiarism. The positive is that if the tutor looks at their study record and sees they haven't done that course, then it's something that could be recommended to them in terms of enhancing their study skills. So I'll take you through. The next slide is really just a sort of snapshot really of it was quite interesting actually, and as I say, we've only just done the data, so this is the top 15 courses, top 15 most popular courses on OpenLearn for last year. And for me, I think this is really interesting because as a percentage, our badged courses they're quite small. They're about 8% of our total number of courses on OpenLearn. But if you look on here, the combination here between badged, which are not the 24 hours, and BOC, there are 11 of the, I think it's 11. Yeah, 11 of the 15 courses in our most popular are badged. And I think that's really interesting, and I think really strongly indicative of the value that our learners and students are placing on badge content. So I just wanted to show you, not everything on there is going to look familiar to you, because things like faculty, so we've got Faculty of Business and Law, other was a collaboration with FE colleges. STEM is STEM for most people that know STEM, but it gives you a kind of breakdown of some of the content that's most popular. It's quite broad, lots of different subject areas. Some of it is aligned to the curriculum. Some of it is around kind of getting skills that people are looking for. You can see that being an OU student is in there perpetually. That's an induction module for our students, but it's completely open, so people can start to learn about study skills and they can find out about studying with the OU. And we worked quite hard to get that into an open platform, because we thought those study skills should be available for everybody. So I don't know if you've got any questions on that, Tim, before we move on.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating slide, this one, isn't it? And there's just a couple of things I wanted to pick out. One was I could see the Understanding Autism course had 11,000, well, over 11,000 enrolments, which is really impressive. I just wonder whether you could shed some light on what do you think sort of is driving that strong interest? Is it a sort of personal interest in this? Is it a professional interest, or is it a combination of the two, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above and probably more. There are lots of our courses, they appeal to a broad range of people. So you've got, people can come to OpenLearn for all manner of reasons. Some they're just looking because they're interested in the love of learning, and they just want to kind of feed their brains. Some people, that course particularly, it sort of not quite went viral, but it really flew. We publicized it on Facebook, actually, and Facebook was really positive, and we saw a huge percentage of people that were coming to that course via Facebook. And I think that's because of the broad range of people that can reach via that platform. And I think because of the subject material for that one, I think people are looking at it perhaps from a CPD perspective. Perhaps they work in that area and they want to extend their skill set, perhaps because they have autism themselves and they want to kind of see what's being said about it and what they might learn. Perhaps they work with people who have autism, or perhaps a family member. There could be, I think there's so many touch points on that subject area that I think I think that probably is explains why it's such a popular course. I mean, that it's really a fascinating thing to read about, and from a personal perspective, I obviously worked through it, but I just found it interesting because there's lots of stuff in there about, like, for instance, the lower diagnosis for females with autism historically. So there's lots of really interesting information that is fascinating whether you're working in that field, but I think a lot of people probably are working with or have a personal connection to the subject material.
And do you think, because that course has obviously had a big impact, it's been really successful, are you thinking about developing other courses around mental health issues or any other areas similar?
Yeah, so Understanding Autism actually is quite a few years old now, and it's going through its first review. We do kind of, when they get to about 3 to 4 years old, we review them and see if they're still okay in terms of the material. Is it still current? Is it still as it should be? So that one, the original author is going through and reviewing that at the moment. But you can see we've got Understanding ADHD. That was newer, so the numbers overall are a bit less, but not much. But also we've got a course which is called Understanding Dyslexia, which was perpetually really popular on our site, but it was horribly old. And you don't really want to take it away because it's so horribly old, but equally, reputationally, it's not great to have something that's old in what is potentially a relatively fast-moving subject in terms of diagnoses and techniques and stuff like that. So that one is off our site at the moment, but only because we are actually updating it, and we are going to turn it into a BOK because we know it's really popular that sort of thing will be really popular. So yeah, we do look at that, and we do look at stuff that is popular. And when we came to review and update this course, we know that the BOK format will work for it because of the way it's worked with Understanding Autism. And so when we talk to our colleagues, in our faculty academic colleagues, we talk to them about upgrading it, really giving it a bit more love and sort of extending the content.
No, that's great. It's great to hear about the sort of broad appeal, the professional appeal, and the personal interest as well. And just one more question, just sticking on this slide, because it's just so interesting with all the
Mm,
data. And when you look at the engagement rates and then the completion rates, the completion rates aren't always, that huge when it comes to badging. I think sometimes, people involved and as involved in the badging will sort of see that as the end goal, the badge completion. But have you found sort of engagement with the badging system can also serve as a stepping stone and building confidence of learners and kind of other pathways within the Open
yeah.
University? What's been your experience?
Absolutely that. So we have various metrics that we, in terms of KPIs on our platform, and completion of a course is not one of them. And there's a really good reason for that, is that we have found, and I talked a bit about the people that click through because they're building on their confidence. Sometimes people come in and their ulterior motive is to get the badge, and we get lots of badge completions. That evidences that. Sometimes they're coming in because they just want to find a bit of information and they find what they need and then they go off again. And sometimes they're coming in because they're not sure if this is going to be for them. Am I going to be able to study at this level? And they'll start a piece of content. It'll be something they're interested in terms of maybe formal study, but they just want to get a sort of toe in the water and a bit of a taste, try before you buy, if you like.
Mm.
And so we know that we have a lot of people that they go in and they do the courses, and they get to the point in the course where they think, I'm surprised myself here, maybe. I've done this and I've managed it really well. I think I'm going to go and have a look now and see what other courses are available at the OU. So for us, although we would love for them all to complete and to get their badges, it's not always the ulterior motive for those people studying.
And let's face it, 250,000 badges completed isn't bad, is it? So
It's not bad. Yeah, we're pretty pleased with it.
brilliant. Okay, should we move on?
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you. I've only got a couple more slides. So this is a lovely slide that our lovely colleague Brian Mathers drew up for us. He's a fantastic artist and he always just gets things just right. So, we've got all these badges going on OpenLearn, and I guess one of the big questions is, what do badges mean to our learners and to employers? Now, obviously, we can't answer for all of the employers. We can answer for learners, because I think the pandemic, yes, Deb knows Brian as well. So in the pandemic, the numbers were huge coming to OpenLearn. It was like 5 times as many people literally overnight came to us in OpenLearn. So we knew there were people coming to us because, well, probably because they had a bit of time spare, but actually there were a lot of people that lost their jobs during that time. And we have a lot of kind of skills-based stuff and employability-based, soft skills on OpenLearn. And they came to us in our droves, and we were working with the government skills toolkit and the nation's equivalents of those things. And so it became abundantly clear to us that when the number of people enrolling on our free courses rose dramatically, there were significant increases in courses which were going to be supporting career development. So we know that the badges and the courses that we're providing for employability are really important to people. And I think I've got another couple of I've got another instance. So one of the projects that we worked on OpenLearn was it was a collaboration with Job Centre Plus. And so we have a landing page on OpenLearn, and we curated some specific employability type soft skills and also kind of, education skills. And so a number of my colleagues and I, we each ran like webinars with Job Centre Plus work coaches. So I did 3 of these for one particular area. There were about 300 work coaches on each. And they were just brilliant, because all I was doing was teaching them how to use OpenLearn, teaching people how to register on OpenLearn, how to enroll on a course, how to get their, work their way through, and how to get their badges and their statements. And we had some really lovely feedback actually from some people who had used OpenLearn, studied some of the badge courses, got their badge, and were able to share it with employers and went on to get jobs. So we know that they do work. So that was a really lovely moment for us to find out that. I was going to say something else about it then, and it's just disappeared from me. But if it comes back, I'll come back to it. And just to go to the next slide, if you don't mind. This is just a little extra thing from our 2022 survey, which says of people that were getting their badges, people that completed the survey, whether they were going to be sharing their achievements with their employer or prospective employer. And you can see very clearly the number was huge here. So that for us really was it's a no-brainer. We know that that's what people are doing. So to be involved in the project that you're doing now, where we are able to really get these badges out to people that need them in the areas that they need them to support their employability prospects, is just, you know, why would we not?
Should remember to unmute. Yeah, that's absolutely fabulous, Jane. That's great to hear that. It's good to see the result of that that badged open course survey. Actually, that's quite a significant figure, isn't it? So people are really valuing that recognition from the Open University, and it kind of reminds me of a personal experience I had back in Leeds. We were doing this thing called Badge Lab Leeds, and we were introducing the concept of digital badges to young people, and they really love them, and they like the idea of being recognised, but their burning question was, you know, is this going to help me unlock another opportunity, you know, for work or for learning? So no, it's great to see that, and you know, hopefully this integration as well will just bring more opportunity as well. So we've got another guest joining us now, just virtually. She couldn't join us in person, I'm afraid, but Lucy Lang, who heads up the Region of Learning project in Cambridge, and I'm going to try and do something a little bit clever here. I'm going to play the audio from my phone because it doesn't come well so from the computer and back in again. So this is Lucy from Region of Learning, and she's just got a message about the project. Right, let me see if I can get this to work. Turn that audio off, turn this one on.
Hello everyone. Region of Learning, based in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, is excited to be developing badged pathways to and from OpenLearn courses with Navigatr. Region of Learning is a place-based social innovation project which connects the informal learning landscape to place-based opportunities. Working within our local authority, we have so far onboarded over 50 learning providers and are now working with targeted services to build meaningful pathways for those currently furthest from accredited learning and career opportunities. Building clear pathways from our localised landscape to OpenLearn courses will extend the bridge for our learners to those accredited learning opportunities. OpenLearn's extensive collection of badged courses in skills development and employability will add greater incentive and increase access to qualification pathways. Pathway collaboration with local providers will also provide clear progression routes for our learners who will be fully supported on their learning journey as part of Region of Learning. For our providers, their learning offer will be more formally recognised with digital badges and will sit alongside a nationally acclaimed education provider in innovative pathways. For our region, OpenLearn courses will be included in pathways to address skills gap and sector needs, and will raise aspiration for local residents in lifelong learning and career choices. Thank you.
That's great. That just about worked, didn't it? So not quite lip synced, but there we go. And what's the chances of Cameron being on the webinar today? Who's the person who actually delivered the project you were just talking about as well, Jane? So that's
Fabulous.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, it's really great to see, you know, the potential here for integrating OU badges into pathways, and just to hear from Lucy in terms of how that's actually going to be operationalised on the ground. And lots of other cities we're working with are planning to do the same as well. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit for a second and talk about how the integration came about. So it's been a while in the making. It started really back, the genesis of it was back in 2019. It was an event that we organised as part of MozFest, which was an RSA house, with the OU, City and Guilds and Skills Builder, I believe, as well. And we all agreed that the current system of open badges, it's fantastic, and you can move your badges between platforms, but it's a bit like the kind of floppy disk version of badges. That's what Nate Otto called it. And I did love my old Atari. It's a real fond memories of it. This was my first computer. I used it to make music on. It was fabulous, but the process of moving files between computers was really laborious, and we don't want that to be the experience for individuals who come across open badges. So it was first just getting people together, stakeholders who wanted to make this happen, and then there was skills research. So how could we align the skills taxonomy and language between Navigatr and OpenLearn? So we used Lightcast data to do that, and Catherine from our team did lots of research so that we could then create pathways meaningfully. Then the technical work began once the Navigatr platform was up and running. And then we went forward and, Lucy did some testing with local training providers in Cambridge. And then we got on to the technical work as well. And now we're just in the process, both of the teams working hard together between, you were mentioning before, Jane, that technical integration. It sort of sounds easy, doesn't it? But it's getting the technical teams together to make that connection there. And that's all towards this vision of kind of creating this is an image from a MozFest back a good few years ago. It's this idea of a backpack that's actually, or a way of moving badges which is actually fit for the modern world. And I guess the point I just want to make here is that under the surface of an integration like this, you really need to get the plumbing right. And it's not just about the open badge standard, it's about collective working and collaborating across platforms and coordinating technically in order to make this a reality. And that's all the sort of wiring that's hidden under the surface here. So I think sometimes as organizations or platforms, or if we're running a badging license, we often sort of focus on designing programs and creating badges and then delivering content and tracking impact. And that's all fantastic work. And it's really important, but from an end user's perspective, it can sometimes feel like a kind of badge maze, if you like. So if you picture this as sort of individual who might see an intriguing badge on LinkedIn, they click on it, they're not sure how to earn it, or maybe it's an educator who's trying to create a pathway between platforms, but the system really limits that. Or maybe there's a lack of consistent standards that makes it difficult not only to design badges, but to align them in a way that creates meaningful pathways to courses or jobs. So without that sort of unified platform, educators are really sort of flying blind. And when it comes to assessing the real impact of initiatives, that's difficult as well, because they can't access the data they need to access to see how people move from one platform and one learning experience to the other. So that's where the integration really steps in, and sort of, I think it might seem like a sort of small piece of the puzzle in terms of just connecting sort of two platforms, but I do think it's a significant step forward into sort of simplifying this really complex badge maze for people. And our integration aims to eliminate some of those challenges and just makes it sort of easier for everyone involved to find, earn, and leverage digital badges. So that's the kind of theory and the journey. In terms of just how this will look in practice, some of you people have used Navigatr, you'll be familiar with this. This is the front page of the Navigatr search engine. And the first thing is, this is where the OpenLearn badges are going to turn up. So they'll turn up in the search, so they'll be very easy to find based on subject and the skills tags within them. And we will also we'll use an algorithm as well to recommend badges that we think people are interested in. So when people join Navigatr, they share a little bit about their interests, and as they interact with the platform and they bookmark or like content, we save information about them. So we're working all the time on that algorithm to try and push interesting content. And so it will recommend both badges and really critically pathways. So this is just an example pathway that we've mocked up for today. So yeah, let's look at a real sort of world example of how one of the pathways might work, and of how informal can evolve into a sort of formal learning pathway. thanks to this partnership. So this pathway, inspired by Bradford Technology or CTE Hub, Technical Education Hub. So if you imagine someone who's got a passion for sports, they're already involved in a local initiative that encourages girls into sport. From there, they attend an information session to explore various routes into the sports industry. These sessions then lead to events where they can meet local employers and organisations and gain valuable networking opportunities. And then if we take that a step further, they could become an ambassador into sport and the community. And this is where it gets really interesting. And they could enroll then on an Open University course and this exploring sports coaching. So by the end of this journey, if you imagine, they've built a really rich profile of both the practical skills that they're developing in places, but they've also got this academic experience as well. So it's a really impressive resume for employers, and we hope it will help people just articulate their skills much easier as well. So this is just one example of a kind of pathway, and this could be applied to any different sector or industry. And then just to take this one step further, we have something called the live jobs feed, which connects pathways to live jobs in places. This is one from a technical academy from Belfast. So it just shows how they've created this pathway. It's around software developer skills, and then it will link through to local jobs. So we think this is really going to be really useful for people, both just to motivate them at the beginning of a pathway so they can show them sort of where their learning might lead them in terms of a job opportunity. But pathways, of course, are also just to lead people to from informal to formal accreditation as well. There's going to be data tracking as part of this as well, so you'll be able to report the impact of the pathways that you create. So we hope that will give you really useful data to see which opportunities are working for which people and why, you know, which courses. We've seen which are the most popular courses earlier on, but which of your badged pathways, you know, will lead and be most popular to people. So that data will be available as well. So just in summary then, the integration with the Open University is all about enhancing people's opportunities on an individual level, but also helping educators to build enriched learner pathways across the two sites. And we hope it will really drive engagement and give you the kind of evidence and data you need to improve and focus in on your programs. So the challenge then from now, we want to get you involved in building pathways in as many cities and places as possible. You know, as you look forward to January, when the sort of full integration is complete, we want to we'll provide you with the tools for the integration, and we want you to build pathways in as many cities as possible in the UK, but also internationally. It's not just based in the UK. And for us, the reason it matters is because it just is another step towards democratizing access to really quality education and job opportunities. And we think by incorporating the OpenLearn badges into pathways, we can really enrich the learner journey for countless individuals, all being well, and help them unlock new opportunities and career transitions. So just whether you are an education provider or an employer or a community builder, the invitation really is just to join us in this journey and build some exciting pathways which are meaningful and impactful. So there's just a simple call to action really from this call. This is the first of 3 webinars. So this is about the awareness of the program. The next session is going to be when you get really hands-on and you start creating the pathways yourself. And that event is the 21st of November. And I believe there's a link in the chat here. And if you're watching this online later, there'll be a link by the side as well. Or you can just search for the activity on Navigatr and sign up to it. If you sign up for that, we'll also send you information on the next 2 webinars. As I say, the next one is about building pathways. And then the final webinar in January will be showcasing all the amazing pathways that you've created. So that's a chance to celebrate those, and hopefully others could be really inspired by the pathways and the work that you create as well. Just one final thing, if you don't have any badges and you're new to badges, don't worry, we'll guide you through the process of creating your own badges with the AI badge assistant. So that's something that you'll have access to when you join up. And of course, if you have badges that you've already created, you know, it could be through the Citizens of Learning program, for example. You can create Citizens of Learning pathways that lead to the OU badged online courses as well. So whichever route you take, you know, we've got you covered there. So thank you everybody for joining us today. We hope that you can see the real potential of this integration, what it offers for your work and your communities as well. We just invite you to stay connected, get actively involved in this program, and if you do have any questions, we have time now, so we could open up the mic if anybody wants to ask anything. Yeah, please do. And for those of you who are joining online, do contact us just using the contact form on Navigator, or reach out to us via LinkedIn, and we can ask and respond to questions there as well. So I'll just open it to the floor. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see what we've got in the chat. Cameron, you seem pretty active in there. Do you want to, Catherine, how do we unmute Cameron and let him?
I've given everyone access to.
Hi, Cameron.
Hello, Tim. Thanks for the invite today, and great webinar, and lovely to see you, Jane. Really good to see the impact that you and your team are making. I suppose question for Jane really, Tim, is in terms of OpenLearn and the endorsement from employers that use the OpenLearn platform or endorse it, getting employer endorsement for the skills that people are using, the sort of feedback and pathways and sharing, just to get, Jane, if you could share some insights around some of the employers you work with and how they found it useful.
Yeah, we've quite a lot of our courses, not just the badge courses, but quite a lot of our courses, we do have employer engagement. And if we're working in a particular sector, like the care sector, for instance, then we would go to key organisations that were quite significant in that sector, and so we would get endorsement from those organisations. And I think if you, from a learner's perspective, we would make sure that endorsement was also included in their badge and on their statement of participation, because I think it just adds an extra weight to it. So we collaborate, as you know, Cameron, with a lot of people, employers, other outside organisations, government departments, and we do find we've got quite a lot of organisations who endorse content on OpenLearn, and yeah, I really do think it just adds that extra weight. So I think if we've got any employers on the call, or anybody that would be interested and you know, has content that's sitting on OpenLearn that you would be very happy to add an endorsement to, then we'd be very happy to talk to you, because we think from a learner perspective that just adds an extra little gold star on their statement or their badge.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely, and thanks, Cameron. And you know, maybe that's something to think about when you're thinking about designing pathways as well. If you're working with local employers, you know, that could be a pathway that is endorsed or supported by a local employer, and you've got these kind of combination of badges within there as well. So that's a really interesting point. Are there any other questions at this point?
I noticed my colleague Matthew is on the call. I don't know if I've answered everything that I should have answered, Matthew, whether you think there's anything that you'd like to say.
Hi there. No, I'm listening in, and no, I think you've done a fantastic job, Jane. No, I wouldn't add anything at all.
Well, that's fabulous. If there isn't anything else, I think what we often find from these webinars is they get a lot of traction after the event as people share them and on LinkedIn, etc. So I think we'll close off there. And thanks again, Jane. That was just a really great insight into the work that you're doing.
No problem. Thanks for the invite, and lovely to see some familiar names in the chat.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's sign off then. Good to see everybody. If anyone wants to chat and just open the mics afterwards, feel free. We'll leave it open for the next sort of 8 minutes or so. If you just want to chat, feel free to just open your mic and contribute. But we'll clip the recording here. Okay,
Thank
we're
you.
done.
Thank you.